All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're out in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
4 days. I mean 4 days. This is not 3 days, 5 days, 2 days. What the hell are you talking about, Charles? I'm talking about the NFL season getting ready to get kicked off. Yes, it may be one game. Yes, it may be preseason, but you know something? Actual NFL players taking NFL plays, throwing an NFL ball on an NFL, well, sort of field. And I want to go ahead and welcome in my cast of characters here. All the way to my right, we got the man who has been on time, almost perfect. Yeah, almost perfect attendance, actually. I don't think anybody has perfect attendance in this show. He has got a nice mic, nice set of headphones. He's going to be the best sounding quality coach that we have right here today. It is Coach Bennett, Victor Bennett. What's going on? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to be home and ready to go, sir.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. The other coach, he's a beautiful man. He has a great physique with the beard going on, the mustache. Doesn't have a great professional setup, but listen, we can hear him. He's got knowledge. He's got enthusiasm. Coach Mike is in the house. What's going on, Coach Mike?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm working on myself.
No, you're good. You're all good. It's just, we like to tease a little bit. And bringing in our fourth member to the cast. I know you don't see him right now, but it's like one of those surprise entrances from WWE. Here we go, all the way from, you know what? He is from Illinois, so I'm assuming that he probably won the $1.28 billion Mega Millions because that's where they sold it. It's Mike! Mike in the house. No, he's shaking his head. No, he did not. Mike, how you doing?
It's too soon to talk about that.
Like his puppy just died or something like that. It's too soon to talk about my fingers.
Talk about that.
Listen, you and about 1 billion other people probably think the same thing. So let's go ahead and get started, everybody. This is the Touchdown Crew. You can go ahead and follow us on Facebook page. Go ahead and type in. It's actually pretty simple. Type in tdc.asap, and guess what? We come up. We're there. We're there. Follow us, like us, share us with your friends, and of course, don't forget we're a part of the ASAP Network. Go to asaptvnetwork.net. That's right. Mike's leading it right there with some swag. And let's go ahead and get to our we have a few comments here right now. Of course, John leads. Anybody want to guess what John wrote?
Go Cowboys.
Eagles grounded. Welcome home, Mike. All
Man,
right. And then we got Dave, Redline Radio LLC in the house.
Okay,
right,
Dave.
cool.
Welcome.
Good job, Ray.
Mike, I'm going to say this. John is going to talk about the Eagles every Sunday. And do not lose to the Cowboys. You're really going to hear it.
Oh, my God, yeah. Listen, there's 2 games there. Listen, I'll say this, and I'm kind of friends with John, so this is going to be some, raspberries at him. I'm rooting for the Eagles each of those 2 games. I'm just saying you have some backing here because
I appreciate it
on that one. Now the rest of the season, you guys can all suck eggs, but for those 2 games, we got to keep our ground. We got to stay united here, gentlemen. Training camp is officially underway. There's some quarterback moves. We got some signings. We got some money being thrown around. There's a lot of stuff going on. Do we want to start with DK? DK going ahead and getting paid, and then comes out and says, hey, I was kind of bluffing. That when it's like after the contract and the ink is not even after the ink is dry, he's like, I was kind of bluffing. I wasn't really serious about what I said, but I got paid. So, Coach Bennett, let's go ahead and start with you, my friend. DK getting paid and then saying, "Oh, I'm going to show my cards." What do you think of that? Was that a dick move, or was he just like kind of like, "Hey, I did what I had to do"?
Man, he did what he had to do. Get paid, young man. Get paid. He got his money. So now, I mean, just play. And he did it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. After looking at it and paying attention to it, he did it really strategic. I give props, flowers to his agent because he signed a 3-year deal. Guess who comes out? Guess who has to re-sign up in 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
You got Jamar Chase, you got Justin Jefferson, and they about to break the bank. So he did it smart to where now his money is going to be up even higher if he produces like he's been doing.
Let's go with the other coach, Coach Mike. DK getting paid, big deal, huge deal. Does now Seattle? They really have to worry about who they're going to have throwing the ball. 3-year extension, $72 million, 58.2 guaranteed. I mean, it's like, again, we're going to go ahead and discuss it. Overpaid, underpaid.
I think overpaid. I mean, like we talked about it before. He's not even the top
15,
4 or 5 receivers in his own division. He's not even a top receiver on his own team. But the Seahawks see the value in him, so he must be worth it in their eyes, and that's all that matters. Get your money.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead with Mike. Mike looks like he's kind of falling asleep over there. I get it. He probably had a long day. He's all depressed about not winning the lottery. What do you see what do you see on DK here? What's your take on this?
I mean, kind of forced your hand when you have Drew Lock throwing you the football. I think there's a lot of things that you could say where, okay, well, he's overpaid. And at the end of the day, though, if you want to build something around this young man for the next 3 to 7 years, I would say you want to have that conversation of, we want to make him happy now so that, we're not sitting here 3 years from now having this same conversation of, well, I've never been compensated. Now you've been compensated. Let's see 3 years from now. Like Coach said, there's 2 ways it could go, though. You could have that conversation of, okay, well, Jamar Chase and JJ are getting this. Or you could have that conversation of, we've already paid you once. Now we have a good team around you. Take a little bit of a pay cut. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can really bring in some more free agents. Maybe you have a quarterback there that's ready to go. His name would definitely not be Drew Lock. And it's that conversation of let's make a championship caliber team. And it all starts with re-signing one guy. I think a lot of teams are going to have to be in that situation. I think even as a Bears fan, I'm looking at it as Roquan Smith is going to be paid as one of the top linebackers in this game. Do I think he's a top 3 linebacker in this game? No, but somebody's going to pay him like he is, and you're going to have to heavily overpay for that. I think a lot of people were going to overpay for DK just because, and Seattle being that crappy situation, you got to be able to – money talks, and you got to be able to do it.
Now, as Coach Mike was saying, he's not even probably the best receiver in his team. Tyler Lockett went ahead last year, signed a 4-year, $69.2 million contract. You go ahead and do the numbers. DK got paid more and more guaranteed. How does Tyler's feel about this? I mean, what's Tyler's mentality on this?
I think the thing about Tyler is Tyler's age. I think that was a big thing that goes into it. Tyler's still producing like he's young. Keenan Allen still produces like he's young, but his beard is taller than me. And I think that's something you really have to take into consideration when it comes to the guaranteed money, because a lot of these young guys aren't going to sign without that guaranteed money. I think Tyler understands that's a good penny. That was a good penny for the age. I think he's 30-something now, going into the year 30.
He's actually 29 right now. So, at the end of his deal, he's going to be like 32, 33.
Right. That's a very solid deal for Tyler Lockett. And it's well-deserved. It's not one of those like, oh, he should be grateful. Like, he earned that money. But typically at that age, that's not the type of contract you're going to likely be getting from your franchise, especially with DK on the other side. You're looking at the Amari Cooper situation. Coach loves Amari, but the reality is, they dump him because CD is the future. They look at Michael Gallup as the future, and they don't want to mess around with Amari because he's older and injury prone. So for Tyler to get his money, I think he understands that. And youth is everything. So I think you really do have to look at DK. I think he's like 23, 24. So it's definitely that conversation of those prime years are going to be DK in Seattle. It's just unfortunately with Drew Lock, so it's not going to look very primed out. But it's definitely. I don't think Tyler has any animosity towards it.
No.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question for the coaches there. What do you think the locker room looks like now with these two big contracts there? One ousting the other, but again, like Mike said, probably has to do with age.
No, I mean, Tyler signed a contract. What I want to say 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he's the last of the 6-7 year contract guys.
He signed it last year,
and it was a 5-year contract. A lot of guys nowadays.
4.
So he has 3 years left on his contract?
Yes. So he's going to be 32 when he's in his contract year.
No, he'd be 33. He has the 2025. He's free agent 26. He'll be 30.
Okay. So 33. All right.
He'll be 33.
But still, it's like you can still probably get another big deal there. Maybe.
Nah, he's not going to get a big deal. He's going to produce, but he's not going to get a huge.
Look
contract.
at Julio. We'll talk about Julio in just a second. But look at Julio.
But that's not. I mean, that ain't much though.
Charles. That's a name brand.
Yeah, but see, and that's the thing about DK. One thing about DK, DK social media wise, social presence is way greater than Tyler Lockett. So when you think of DK, you think of we see him with his shirts off, or you hear him talk about his diet. All I do is eat Skittles, or you see him chase old boy down after the pick six, and then you see him try to make it to the Olympics in the 100. Like that's what you know DK for. Like I haven't seen a highlight of DK or Seattle where you see him catching the football and he's making someone miss and he's running. So he deserves the money because that's how the market is. He's young. Tyler Lockett, he don't care, man. I don't think a lot of people they don't act like that. You got your money, that's good. I got mine. I'm not tripping. So I don't think it's really any beef. I think more than anything. They're not in Seattle. They're not worried about a quarterback right now. They're just trying to whatever they get because they're not making the playoffs.
Exactly.
So let's take care of him now in the draft. Let's draft a quarterback or let's get one in the free agent because it's a lot of quarterbacks, man. It's a lot of quarterbacks that's coming out next year, and then shoot the free agent pool.
Well, so other coach on there, excuse me, other coach on there. Do you agree with Bennett, or do you go ahead and say that there's a little bit of a fight going on? Maybe even like a good competition battle, and like who really deserves his money more.
No, I think all the players in the NFL understand. Like my goal for me is to get one of the highest contracts, but I understand the next year somebody in that same position probably gonna beat my contract. I mean, and it could be on my team, so. I don't think there's any animosity. Their goal now that both of them are signed is just to win ball games. That's their goal right now. No animosity between them.
So and like Bennett was saying, it's like they're not making the playoffs. They're not going. How I mean, and a lot and the points he's made too, or last year and now or earlier this year is like they don't care if you go ahead and win. They want the money. So it's like, does it affect them that they're signing a pretty good deal with a team that really isn't going anywhere anytime soon? I mean, even if you draft a quarterback, nobody's saying that quarterback's going to come in and just go ahead and light it up. Who's going to be out there now? Jimmy?
But it doesn't matter, Charles. He's the face of Seattle. So when if you drive down Seattle and you see posters and everything else, you see DK. So like that's him. He is the guy in Seattle because think about it. Think about it. Who else can you name other than Tyler Lockett?
No offense.
I mean, Russell Wilson. I mean,
I mean, just being honest. So it's like DK, yeah, and Pete Carroll. DK is the only person he stands out because of his name.
Right.
So you have to give him that money because I'm not gonna say he deserves the money, but technically he's in the right situation where he deserves the money because you don't have anybody else.
I also think it's that conversation too, and it's an anomaly of what happened with Tom Brady. But when you really look at it and you understand, the bad Tampa days, and Coach knows, we're gonna be real. Coach always flexes the 2020 championship, and I always respect him for it. But I definitely think when you look at it longevity wise, them keeping Chris Godwin and Mike Evans together as long as they did open that window to bring in a Tom Brady. If you have Seattle and all you can tell of me, if I look at Coach Mike right now and I go, listen, bro, everything's awful. Jamal Adams is a overpaid linebacker who can't play safety that well. But I got Noah Fant. Are you down to come? You're not coming, bro. Especially if you're a veteran quarterback who's on his last years. Like you want DK, you want Tyler Lockett, you want Noah Fant, but you're not strictly going for a Noah Fant and draft picks that Pete Carroll has chopped the last couple of years. So I think it's that conversation of really for me, and I know it's jumping the gun, but I'm curious to see how Pete and the front office talk about what they want to do for a quarterback because they haven't drafted one legitimately in a very long time. And I think one of the things is, are you going to draft somebody who's similar to Russell Wilson? Because that really wasn't working for you in Seattle, even when Russ was here, after the Super Bowls. So I think that's that conversation of, are you going to go a different direction? Does Pete even have a say in this? And how long is he really going to be there? I think the players will be just fine.
Are we talking about Pete maybe being on the hot seat this year, or
No.
do we give him a pass because of the QB situation?
I don't think he's going to be on the hot seat. I think they looked at it, and we had this conversation before about Russ. Russ is he's a good quarterback, but they didn't win the Super Bowl because of Russ.
Right.
They won the Super Bowl because of the defense. They won the Super Bowl because of Marshawn Lynch. And we can even say it. They should have gave to Marshawn Lynch on the 2-yard line. That's what everybody said. Everybody said you should have gave it to Marshawn Lynch. Should have gave it to Marshawn Lynch. It wasn't Russ that won the Super Bowl.
Right.
No.
So they kind of just went back to what it was. Hey, they got Adams to play safety, which he's no different from Counselor when he was there. And now he's building the defense back up. Right. And you're trying to get rid of them old contracts where that big money is and go a little bit younger, go a little bit faster. They're going to get a quarterback in the draft. Because then if you get a quarterback in the draft, you don't have to pay him as much for 6 years, 5 to 6 years, depending on where you draft him.
Coach, for you, this is for either and any of you guys, when do you think Adams is in that conversation of we have to move one of these old contracts? Because it's that conversation. Like even me looking at the Bears, like we had to dip on Khalil Mack because you're just not that guy that you were. And now you're aging and we're 3 years away from even sniffing a conversation, and Seattle's the same way.
Oh, he'll be back though. He's back in California.
I bet he is.
But I agree with you. But you're not going to get rid of him no time soon because you gave up a lot for him. So he's the cornerstone of your defense. He's the face of your defense because again, you can't name too many people.
No.
So, but like I said from the beginning, man, this year is not the year. And we all said it. They're not going to make the playoffs. They might not even be competitive in the conference because when we did the schedule wins and losses, y'all laughed at it when I said they're gonna at least win 7-8 games. So by saying that, man, they're gonna get a good draft pick, and then you got the Broncos.
I still got my thing after I did my whole graphing. I have Seattle's 3-14.
Yeah. So now look, now you're in a place you're gonna get CJ from Ohio State, or you're gonna get
John.
Are you gonna get old boy from Bryce Young? I like Bryce Young, but that's a whole nother conversation we're not talking about. But
I feel like we ain't gonna get into it, but I feel like CJ fits what Carroll's used to.
I mean, you just got to see. That's the thing about it. I just really truly believe they're gonna keep Carroll because what else is out there coach wise?
Matt Nagy. No.
Oh god. So.
Yeah, that's again a conversation for another thing. Listen, we're a year away from that at least, so
I'll drive them there myself, sir.
Yeah. So right now, if the Seattle powers that be, we're sticking with the quarterbacks that we have right now. So even if one of them doesn't cut it in training camp, like let me just throw out for instance here. For instance, if Baker goes ahead and wins the job and they cut Darnold, do you go after Darnold? Do you go after Jimmy G if he gets released eventually? If you're the powers that be in Seattle, do you stick with what you have now in training camp, or do you kind of see what's out there later on?
Nah, they're gonna stick. I wouldn't even take Jimmy because what's the knock on Jimmy? He can't throw deep. Like he can't throw the deep ball.
Oh, you know what? And that was the whole perception with Tua, which we'll get into later.
I know is very. But hold on. That is very true. But if you look even at last year's playoffs, he really didn't throw the football. And when he did throw the deep, what happened? It was interceptions.
There's screens too.
Like that's the thing. That's the thing about it. You have DK. DK is a deep ball, throw it up, jump ball guy. Tyler Lockett is the middle of the field slot. He controls the middle of the field. Like That's the only thing about Jimmy. You say what you want. You can say Jimmy's good. Jimmy's good in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. He's going to give
Jimmy
you
wins
those.
games, though. No, here's the thing.
Yes,
Jimmy wins
yes,
games.
and he's won a lot of games, Charles. When all he did was hand the football off. The Super Bowl, all he had to do was hit the post wide open. He overthrew the post. Like that's the thing.
But when you have two receivers like Tyler and DK, are you
guys.
really thinking about overthrowing anybody?
Same guys.
It doesn't matter.
I'm just asking.
I think you have three, and when you look at the weapons of Seattle, you have three deep threats because Noah Fant isn't your typical tight end either. I look at him as some emerging guy who can really be a vertical threat. When you look at those guys, and then you look at Jimmy G, it's like you have the biggest gun in the room, but no bullets in it. Or in this case, it's kind of you have all the bullets and you don't have a gun to shoot them. So I think that's the biggest knock on Jimmy, and I think. For me, Charles, the problem with that is the same problem I've had with the Giants. It's the same problem I've had with the Bears. And it's the same problem I've had with a lot of these in-between teams. Bro, if you want that CJ or you want a Bryce Young, you don't get Sam Darnold. You don't get Baker. Because as bad as they might be, they're going to win you a few games. You don't want to win these games. You want to get these guaranteed quarterbacks. You're
talking about the Seahawks tanking. Almost to the point they're tanking this year.
It's not that they're tanking. It's
be
the reality of it
where you're at.
Yeah, we don't have.
Yeah, when you know and you look at what's in front of you, like, do I want to take the chance on those quarterbacks, knowing I'm going to still draft one? What's the point? What's the point? That's what it is. Like you're not going to verbally say it out loud on. We know what's about to happen this season because you're looking at Arizona, the Rams. You're not going to compete with that.
Right.
Why even mess with a quarterback position and pay somebody like a Baker or a Jimmy G when I can go get that rookie next year?
And I'll even think about it. Like this. I think one of the biggest conceptions is you understand I'm going to bring in Baker, but what is the difference between me winning 2 more games with Baker and losing out on a generational talent like Bryce Young?
Right.
Having Baker for a season. If Baker's your guy moving forward, by all means, go for it. If you want to contend right now, go for it. If you think Baker's your guy, but he's not. So it's like, what's the point?
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you fellas this, and anybody can go ahead and jump in on this one here. So, okay, you go ahead. First question: what pick do you have to be? What is the worst absolute pick to go ahead and get the quarterback you want next year? What is the absolute worst? I mean, we know number 1, you get your pick of the litter, but is number 4 out of the question? Number 5, do you lose that opportunity?
No.
I think it's a good year to draft.
I think number 4, like 5, would be a good spot. You don't
even go. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Why you don't? Well, I think 4. Because you got how many teams worse than them that don't need a quarterback?
Right.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, right now, how many teams are worse than the Seahawks that could go ahead and easily have a sooner pick? Or, and here's the big deal here, those teams that get an earlier pick, trade that pick for whatever QB or whatever they need, and that team that does need a quarterback jumps you. That's what I'm saying is, where would you feel comfortable with? That's not to say Seattle couldn't.
4 to 7 is good.
I would say nothing less than 5. My bad, Mike.
So you got to be in the top 5, Mike? Chicago, Mike?
Yeah, I think you look at a lot of situations, and there's been a lot of general manager hires. Like, and as much as I want to sit here and say, oh yeah, Justin Fields is the future of the Bears, that our GM didn't draft him. You look at Brian Dable with Daniel Jones, he didn't draft him. There's a lot of situations right now where guys are kind of, you look at Matt Corral of the Carolina Panthers. Is Baker or Sam going to be there long term? Is Matt even a good option? It was a 2nd-round pick. You look at the ATL. You got Marcus Mariota and Ritter, and I like Ritter, but I think if definitely Bryce Young falls into your lap, that's a conversation you need to be able to have, and you really don't know until you know. So I wouldn't be comfortable with guys like that. If this was this year's draft, I think we all can agree it didn't really matter where you picked. I think you had a shot at getting a good quarterback just because the class wasn't that deep. It wasn't that serious at that position. So I think this year specifically with Bryce Young and CJ, who are potential Heisman winners, I think you really do need to be in that top 5 because, Charles, let's be real. there's a couple guys that could sneak into that top 5 that already have a quarterback and somewhat of a complete team. They could bring in Bryce and use him as a bargaining chip. We've seen teams do it before. We're going to say, hey, they're not going to draft Bryce, but they'll tell everybody they're going to draft Bryce and try to get more compensation and try to get more draft picks for it. So I think
the other thing too. So that's the other thing too. Seattle is not, they're not, being very secretive of what's going on. Everybody in the NFL knows Seattle needs a QB. They need a QB. So you got general managers say, hey, I got this guy. Let me trade you. No, we don't want him. We got this guy. Or if they go ahead and stick with that field, they know they're not serious about Geno Smith. They know they're not serious about Drew Lock. They're going to go after the draft. So what are these GMs going to do? We're going to hop you over you, take the quarterback you want, and then make you pay for it later. So unless you're the number 1 pick or you trade for that number 1 pick or number 2 pick, it ain't a safe bet. That's kind of that you would literally have to go, we're going 0-17. We're throwing everything. Because if you're banking on the only thing you need now is a QB. You need a quarterback.
But you're not going to tank.
You can't get that quarterback, the golden boy that's coming out of college, or the high value free agent that you're going to have to pay a boatload to get into Seattle. You're stuck. You're going to be screwed. And Pete Carroll, he's going to be the one responsible. The GM's going to be the one that's responsible. It's not looking good in Seattle if you go down that road. That's a lot. That's like going to Vegas and putting everything on red. It really is.
I don't know.
Just saying, it's like you can't guarantee that. Hey, this guy, and even the quarterbacks you're mentioning in college, who's to say they don't get injured?
Facts. No, that's without a shadow of a doubt. But here's my thing: who's to say they even have to take a quarterback this year? I think when you really look at what it is you don't have an entire offensive line. You don't have a cornerstone of your defense. You got Jamal Adams, and hey, I'm a former safety, so I got mad love for Jamal Adams. I love what he does. But age is everything, and you don't have that guy who is going to potentially be here the next 7 to 10 years. I think there's so many holes on this team. If they get the number 1 overall pick and take the best offensive lineman or the best offensive tackle, if they don't see fit, obviously Bryce and CJ are anomalies, but if they see one of a generational type offensive tackle, that's worth more to me than a quarterback at the end of the day, because the guy who's protecting the quarterback is more to me than the actual quarterback. So I think it all depends on what direction they want to go. And like I said, is Pete Carroll going to be a part of that conversation? Because that'll be the difference between if you have the number 1 pick, CJ or Bryce. I would say Pete takes CJ just because he's more mobile and he's a little bit more athletic. But if the front office is running things, why not take Bryce? I think there's a lot of things to have going right now. And I think they don't really know what direction they want to go. And I don't think Pete knows what direction he wants to go. Because I know Pete wants to win. Pete wants to win point blank, period. And it's not going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Who knows what those two, coach and GM, arguing in one of these offices, saying, I got crap for a quarterback. Go get me a quarterback. I don't care. Go get me Jimmy G. Go get me Darnold. Go get me somebody out that's out there. Get me somebody better than this crap that I have in this quarterback room. Right. So, coaches, go ahead and you guys have the last word on DK, Seattle's future, and their president. Go ahead.
Well, it's all to see. Like I said from the beginning, no one has Seattle winning to making to the playoffs or anything. So I think that's one of the things, because the GM and Pete, they've been working together for years now. So they have a plan in place, the what ifs. So just see if they can make it happen.
Coach Mike, any closing words on any of this?
I think their top 4 to 7 picks coming after this season, I don't think they tanking games. They just don't have the capability to match up with the schedule that they got to beat anybody, really.
Now, and we're not talking about Pete Carroll taking, second or third, string quarterbacks and molding him into, all-star capable quarterbacks. He needs talent around this team. And to Mike's point, no line, no QB. Chris Carson had to retire, so running back is going to be a little bit thinner now. So it's a whole big mess in Seattle, and that's why, when I went through the grid, I kind of surprised I only saw Seattle winning 3, but that's what I got. Phone line's open if you want to jump in. 813-699-5353. Facebook comments, Twitch comments, YouTube comments we got going on. John, of course, still talking trash. September 11th, Cowboys going to beat the NFL's Golden Boy. Just talking trash about everybody. Just like, you know what? When is it going to sink in that the Cowboys ain't making the playoffs? They're not making it. It's just not happening. So I don't know. Anthony goes ahead and says, hello, sexy beast Mike. Mike H. You wanted to clarify. Just want to make sure we got. I mean, listen, you guys have. Listen, Anthony, you have your taste in men. I have my taste in men, and I don't have any taste. So I'm just going to go ahead and then throw it over to you on that one. All right. So let's talk. Obviously, we're talking about quarterbacks a little bit in Seattle. Let's talk about another quarterback. Somebody who said that they had a noodle arm. Tua just went ahead and lit it up. 65-yard bomb. And he connected in stride, didn't have to slow down. The cheetah kept running, and he hit him. Now we see that. How scared are we, or are we scared at all? Well, we have to be scared now because John's calling in. John, go ahead.
First off, I want to say, Charles, you better stop smoking pot. Second of all, Cowboys are definitely making the playoffs. Third of all, Brady stuff.
All right. Thank you very much for your 3 points. I was quick, and you know, I like it when it's quick and pain-free. But Tua showing he can go ahead and air out that ball, and everybody's like, you can't throw it any more than 10 or 20 yards. 65-yard bomb. What do you all think, boys? Do we smell? Is there some fear now in Miami when you face the Dolphins? Do we have a little bit of fear going on? No fear. Okay.
Man, I'm gonna say this since everybody was just pausing trying to think. First off, let me say this. Tua's a good quarterback. If you look, even if the years that he's been playing, he's improved every year. The only knock on Tua is he's injury prone. That's the only knock on Tua. There's always something.
No. You said it in past shows.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. That's the biggest knock on Tua. The second knock is throwing the ball. I mean, look, I can go out there and throw a 60-yard bomb at least once. Like, it's the consistency of you still throwing those. But what I would say, he has a good head coach. That's an offensive mind that came from the 49ers, so he could play the game. If we look at it, he's probably the second best quarterback in his division. I think he's better than those other two. I'm not gonna say any names because I don't want nobody to get nothing started. So, but the reality of it, he's a good coach. I mean, he's a good quarterback.
How dare you take my show as not being cutting edge?
Hey,
he omit names.
He's a good quarterback. Tua's a good quarterback. And look, man, you got to say, Mike knows, Coach Mike knows, Mike at the top knows. You treat quarterbacks, everything you say about a quarterback, it always has to be positive, especially as a receiver.
Like a princess.
Everything. So everything he's saying, he's doing a great job. Like, he's throwing accurate. He's the most accurate quarterback. Man, he's so awesome. He's hyping him up because guess what? Everybody's bashed to him. Everybody done bashed to him.
I like Tua, but I like bashing Tua more.
Yeah,
I got a question. You know, we looking at the 65-yard pass. If you go look at any clip, tell me which one showed them with a drop catch. Was there any drop shown? Was there any bad throw shown?
Well, you know what? Obviously, see those clips, they're not going to be plastered on ESPN or anything like that. But
exactly.
I'm sure they're happening.
Charles, I want to ask you something.
Oh, sure.
It's a legitimate question. Have the pads been put on yet?
They ain't sure.
If the pads ain't on, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, everybody look good in shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And can anybody on that roster touch that red shirt?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this: what's the point in this then? Just to go ahead and run routes?
No, bro. There's so much that goes into this, and I'll say from not even a coaching perspective. Just I coach baseball, so I ain't gonna sit here and act like I'm a genius when it comes to what you do during the summer and how you run your operation. But as a player,
was Tua gonna drag bunt?
These honestly probably should have, but probably should have, and he wouldn't have broke his hip. But with that being said, I think when you look at summer programs, it means everything, and connections mean everything, and it means what's going into this next season. What we're running right now is going to be very similar to what we're doing in the fall, and I think getting that chemistry, getting that connection is very good. And I think the time to see if Tua can air it out to Tyreek is right now. But I think, like Coach said, the biggest knock, and this is my own knock as well, is the consistency on that ball, the timing of that ball. The problem with Tua with me, he looks too much. He looks too much at what he's doing, especially in deep ball. I think when you look at him, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league when it comes to the short ball. And I think that's a conversation where Tyreek even, did have some truth to it. He is. But I think the problem with that is you have to be great at one thing if you're bad at three things. And I think that's where the conversation's different. And I think when Tua is still kind of eyeing the guy he's going to hit when he's hitting him in a stride, going all the way deep, or whether it's a hitch or a corner, whatever it may be, he's always looking at the wide receiver he's going to throw it to because he's not confident enough to do that. Now I look at Coach's boy in Tampa, got Scotty Miller, got Godwin, got Evans. Man, this man's looking at a fan in the stand, just boop, it's gone. It's gone. I look at Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs. It's gone. And you know what? To Coach Mike's point, I've seen strides from Jalen Hurts where he has that conversation where at moments you see the glimpse of it, of this kid can get the ball out of there quick and he's not giving up his man out there. I think the problem with Tua is he gives up his man. He's staring at Waddle or Gesicki the entire time. And the corners and the safeties understand that ball is coming this way. So I think he needs to start getting down on that. And now is the perfect time for it, which is why I said summer camp means everything. You could start to become more comfortable with your deep ball without the pressure of, I'm going to get picked off every single day. I'm going to get sacked after this. So I think right now is the perfect time. Once, like I said, and Coach Mike smiled because I know he knows how it feels. Once those pads come on, don't try that shit again. Like you get away with it here and there, but don't make this an everyday thing because that defense is going to light you up. Because that defense, it's the best room to grow for Tua because you have a great defense you're playing against every day in practice. So I think it's going to be a good season. I'm still not on the Tua train, but I'm on the Waddle train. So I'm kind of rooting for Tua at the same time.
Coach Mike, you have something you want to go ahead and add to that?
Nah, the summer camp, like you said, is just all about chemistry and timing. I want to get the timing. That's where you learn if he's not able to throw that 65-yard all the time, do I need to release that ball a little bit earlier? Because if I go back and dissect that play, I think he had about 5 yards. He could have threw that ball just a little bit sooner. But I continue to look at it. I'm critical when it comes to that.
So you're saying even that beautiful pass, you're saying probably could have thrown a little bit sooner. Timing,
yeah, because the NFL is all about timing. I mean, that you got the wrong safety, right safety. Then he said
I wouldn't even say that. Coach Mike's talking about 5 whole seconds. It takes Khalil Mack, it takes Joey Bosa, it takes all of these guys 2 seconds to get off the line and in the quarterback's face. You don't have 5 seconds prior to the ball being snapped. So that's about what? You're holding the ball for 7-8 seconds, like Coach Bennett said.
Well, no. Coach Mick was talking about 5 yards, not 5 seconds. So 5 yards.
The 5 yards is about 3 seconds, 2 seconds. So that's a critical.
It all has timing
to be holding that ball.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill can run 5 yards in a blink of an eye.
But it's not. But that's the problem. When you have someone with that speed, and if you go back and you look and you say Pat Mahomes is known for the deep ball.
Yeah,
like Pat Mahomes is total opposite of Tua. Tua he's shown he can throw it deep, but he hasn't shown he couldn't do it consistency
or accurate.
He's not consistent. Yes, or not accurate. And then it's hard, man. When you got a guy that he's run as fast as Tyreek and Waddle. Like you have to be on point. The good thing about it is he's been with Waddle for some years now, so he kind of can read him. But you're asking a guy read a defense because the defense is going to be really crazy now.
Yep.
You got to read a defense to throw the deep ball because he's not a Pat Mahomes. So he doesn't run around. He doesn't scramble. He is a indie pocket kind of guy. And those are the things where he's like, okay, you have to make this read and you have just like that instant and just throw it. So again,
would it be safe to say in 2 weeks when the Dolphins play their first preseason game in Tampa, is it safe to say that we finally get our first good look at Tua and Hill? or is that too soon?
It's too soon because they're probably gonna play maybe a drive, and he's gonna. But see, that's the thing. He's gonna establish the run. He's from the 49er crew. He brought in 2 running backs. They gonna run this thing. Like, you don't have the running backs that you have just to sit here and say Tua is gonna be kind of like Jimmy. You're gonna throw the football 20. What? I'm not saying he's better. I think he'd be way better than Jimmy. I think he's better than Jimmy now, but that's a whole nother story.
I think it's the same system.
Yeah, but it's the same system. We're gonna run the football, and we're gonna play action off of it to get you the deep balls to Tyreek Hill. But you're gonna throw the football maybe 25 to 30 times a game. That's it, max.
I think it's the same conversation too, because you look at what Jimmy has offensively. He had George Kittle, you have Brandon Ayuk, you have Deebo Samuel. You have a lot of guys that are dogs. And at the end of the day, you're running how many times because you can't trust you can't trust Jimmy to hit those guys consistently. Now, I do think Tua is light years better than Jimmy right now, athletically and even decision-making wise. I think Jimmy's the last couple seasons has kind of hindered that and has made a couple bad calls, like Coach said. But I definitely do think it doesn't matter if you have, let's even break it down to a year and a half ago. You had Fuller, you had Parker, you bring in Waddle, and it still wasn't anything. You know what I mean? So I think there's definitely going to be growing pains. There's definitely going to be moments of success where Charles comes on here and he tells me that I was wrong about Tua, saying he can't throw more than 5 yards. And sir, I understand that was harsh, but prove me wrong, and I'll stop saying it. So I think it's definitely.
Well, here's the thing. This year with the weapons you have, okay, you already had Waddle, but
right.
now you got Hill and Waddle, and a few other weapons. Let's see now. This is going to be the time to prove it. If you can go ahead and throw deep consistent, because you got 2 deep threats, not 1, 2.
I think the issue is, though, does that win you games? Can you do that the entire game?
No. If you have success throwing it deep, there's no way you don't win games. The only way you don't win games is if you go ahead and you put your end on a shootout, but your defense can't stop the other team. That's the only question.
But that's the thing.
That's the issue.
We're asking Tua. Tua's not gonna throw the football 40 plus times, guys. He's gonna throw it.
I get that.
And so what you have to realize, you have a tight end, and you have two guys that can run.
Mm.
So, and you have 2 running backs. So you're gonna play action like crazy. You got you brought in his left tackle to protect his blind side. I'm not his blind side because he's left-handed. But one thing about it is,
right tackle.
Yes, they're gonna be fine. Because he's gonna have maybe just like anybody in the NFL, you're gonna have your 3 or 4 deep shots max.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be crazy at all. I think
it's like when everybody thinking, because you got to realize, even with Kansas City, Tyreek Hill, all those double moves, triple moves, a lot of it was because of Pat Mahomes was running around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. Tua is a statue. He is a statue. He's young, but he's that old school mentality. I'm gonna sit in his pocket and throw this football.
Right. It's also like you look at Tyreek too, and it's not to say Tyreek isn't talented at what he does, but there were games where it's like, okay, Tyreek had over 100 yards today, but he only had 2 catches, and they were both deep balls. So it's like, it's that conversation of, even though Tyreek did do that in Kansas City, he is not going to be the focal point of changing the system that it's McDaniels, right? I always forget his name, their head coach.
Oh.
I always forget his name, but it's not going to change
Miami.
Yeah, I always forget the head coach's name in Miami. I don't know why.
I don't know, but no, McDaniels is he's in Oakland or Vegas. Excuse me.
I knew it was a 49er boy, but I just didn't know which one. But I think, like Coach said, they have that system, they have that formula from Shanahan.
It's McDaniel, not it's Mike McDaniel.
Oh, Mike McDaniels.
Go get him.
Oh, okay. I didn't know Josh had a brother.
Yeah, see, I knew what I was talking about.
Nah, they don't. There's not. Never mind.
No relation.
They're not related though, but no relation. But yeah, I don't think that's gonna. I don't think one guy is gonna change the entire way that this team operates. It's not gonna change the entire way that this team changes unless he is a quarterback. I think the quarterback position changes everything. Bringing in a tight end, that's just another toy that you could use if need be.
Yeah. Mike McDaniel, by the way, this is his first stint as a head coach. Just wanted to let you know. Yes, he was an OC in San Francisco, run game coordinator for 3 years in San Francisco, wide receivers coach, offensive assistant, and like 4 other teams. So he's bounced around, earning his dues. Yeah,
Now he's been with what's the name? So wherever he went, he went also. The head coach.
Shanahan.
Yeah, he's a Shanahan boy. He traveled with him everywhere.
Yeah, well, he's not with Shanahan no more. Now it's
Well,
now Miami's his home, and he's going to go ahead and see what he can do with Tua and the running game and the defense, and we'll see what goes on there in Miami. First preseason game though in Tampa against the Tom Brady less Buccaneers. You know Tom Brady ain't playing no preseason, but they'll be against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers there on August 13th in Raymond James. That's 2 weeks from yesterday. All right, let's move it along here because we are hemorrhaging time. So let's see. We talked about DK. We talked about Tua. By the way, a couple of comments there in regards to Tua. Dre says that he never healed completely from the college injury, and
that's the whole thing. It was the hip. Like,
yeah.
But he said it himself. He's like, I will never be the quarterback I was before the injury. And when the quarterback before that, he was throwing the deep ball.
Craig goes ahead and says, good morning. We want to go ahead and throw that in there. And Dre also went ahead and says, yes, Jalen got it. You had mentioned about Jalen Hurts there briefly. So, yeah, Jalen showing improvement in Philadelphia. But let's see if that actually goes ahead and translates to actual wins for Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. But
yeah, I don't know about all that either. But still. Kyler Murray in the news. And it's not the type of news that you really want to hear. Kyler going ahead and basically getting bombarded by the media because of the nature of his contract. You have a homework clause. You have this clause. That basically it's like, hey, we're going to sign you over here into a fraternity, but here's what you got to sign. We're going to have to go ahead. You're going to have to run around with a chicken on your head and carrying eggs in your behind. And stuff like it just sounded like just way too much. And now again, this could be something normal that other quarterbacks or other players sign. Like, hey, listen, you are dedicated to X amount of hours on film study and this and that, and you're mandated to show up at everything and stuff like that. But this one here had the media in quite a frenzy. When you take a look at contracts like this, and this is actually mostly for the coaches. When you take a look at contracts like this and you sign said contract, you know you're going to be open to ridicule. You know you're going to be open to something like that. Why would you sign something like that? And I believe even the agent even advised against Kyler signing it because of the clauses. Am I right? Or am I wrong on this one? Why would you sign something like this? What is it? Just to get paid? And then all of a sudden these clauses, what if you break a clause? Then there's got to be some type of penalty in there.
Well, I think the issue is something he made a comment. They were talking about it. He made a comment on the New York Times, and he just said he was like, I admitted he doesn't burn the midnight oil while studying game film. He's more, I go with the flow of the game and pay attention to that. So it's like, okay, and if you look at it, the beginning of the season, they're balling. Arizona is doing their thing halfway through the season. All of a sudden now it's like, and again, some of those teams you take the Rams, you take the 49ers, shoot, even in Seattle, like you play them twice. So the second time around, they're gonna have film and they're gonna change it up and they're gonna do something different. Teams that you got the crap beat out of you. Guess what? This is a copy league team league. Everybody's gonna copy it. It's like, oh, they did this. Boom. Just like we go back to even with Kansas City. Kansas City, the thing was they couldn't stop the 2 high safeties. Pat Mahomes sucked at that. So everybody went and did it. So I think that's the knock on Kyler. Like, you had to watch film and you admitted to it. You said, I don't watch film.
Yeah.
So like,
how dumb is that though to say as a quarterback? How dumb is that? As a player, you're putting yourself out there.
I think it depends on how you look at it. Now, as a statement, it was dumb because I think you set yourself up for what's to come. And I think there's going to be old heads and there's going to be football fanatics and individuals who do value film watching But I know plenty of guys in the league, and I know plenty of guys who don't watch film, throughout college and just playing the way I've played. And I personally didn't watch film like that. I would watch quarterback film, but I wouldn't really watch anything else. I didn't really care. That was just me personally. But I know a bunch of quarterbacks who never watched film, and they just kind of, I wouldn't say go with the flow. Like they get the scouting report on like what's going on, but I think it's just not everybody's cup of tea. And I think there's guys like Tom Brady who eat, breathe, and sleep film. But there's other guys that don't. And I think this kid being as young as he is, it was a common mistake, like Coach said, to go on. What did you say? It was the Times or something where
New York Times.
Yeah, the New York Times, and publicly say that. It's not really a flex to me. I think that's kind of like well, yeah, that makes sense to why everything happens the way it happens. But I know there's plenty of guys who don't watch film dedicated like that. Obviously, you're going to watch film in the team meetings. Obviously, you're going to do that. I think the clause was blown out of proportion just because of the Kyler talks as of late. I think, let's be completely real here. I don't think anybody even talks about it if nobody leaks it. And I think that's the biggest thing is who leaked it. And that's the problem. It is like, I see no problem.
But that's the thing. Once you sign a contract, the contract is for everybody to read. You can actually go look up everybody's contract and read the clauses and everything because it's public now.
100%.
So my thing is, I can understand you can say, hey, as a safety or as a receiver, you don't really watch much film. But I think as a quarterback, or not even the quarterback, you know what? We're not even going to say that. If you want to be great in this league, you have to watch film. You have to understand the tendencies. You look at Darrell Reeves at cornerback. He has 1,000 films on every receiver. What's their routes? where they stick it at? What do they like to do? What's their favorite is? Like, you have to study people because one thing about it is everybody has their signature of what their favorite routes, favorite release, even defense.
Right.
At defensive coordinator, hey, what's his favorite coverage? Because they have something to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what we do. So you have to watch film. And as a quarterback, you really got to watch film because you got to make sure you know where everybody's going to be.
Right. I want to ask you this, though, Coach, and this is for either of you. I do think the conversation of it being in the clause isn't as bad as everybody makes it out to be for Arizona. Because I think when I look at it like this, and this is me, and this is as a white man, and I've heard a lot of people saying this is a race issue. If Kyler was white and his name was Kyle, then it wouldn't be that conversation. I saw that exact post on Twitter, and I was like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from, and I understand what you're saying. But I also understand that they just paid this man, and there's a dollar sign next to this man's name, and you want the highest value and highest production you can from him. So if you truly believe that he's not putting in that work that you want him to be great, give him that incentive of, hey, this is your contract. If you watch this film and you put in the work we expect you to put into here, then we'll have that conversation. And Pride from Prideful Takes, he's at ASAP as well. Charles, you can knock me if I'm wrong, but Pride, a huge Patriots fan, even said that Tom Brady had the same clause in all of his contracts. Like, that's that conversation of no one talks about that.
And that's what I'm thinking. It's like, no, these clauses, I'm sure, or these stipulations on these contracts are probably in everybody's contract because, listen, if we just said, hey, show up Sunday and you get paid, $108 million a year, whatever, that's all they're going to do. They're just going to show up and say, okay, where you want me, coach? Right there. But yeah. you do, unless you are a dedicated person, like said Tom Brady, or other people that live and breathe this, I guarantee you that's a small percentage of the league. It's a small percentage of people that live and breathe it.
You put that price tag next to it, and it changes everything. I think the first 4 or 5 years, this is my rookie quarterback. He's gonna do what he needs to do to be able to adjust. But the big thing is now you're a big boy now, and you're still not progressing the way a man should in this league. A quarterback should in this league. If they truly believe that this man isn't going to watch film, and for the next, I forget what the contract was lengthwise, but the next 5 years per se, that we're going to have that conversation of, the reason we're losing games is because you're getting beat by your man, or your corner knows when you're doing this and you're not paying attention to his tendencies. That's, to me, especially in a conference that's full of Aaron Donalds and Jalen Ramseys, you got to be able to do something, bro. Like that's a problem. And I think as disrespectful as it could be viewed as, which at first that's how I viewed it. But when I really look at it, I'm like, you know, I've never played quarterback. I've never been like that. I was like, there are a lot more responsibilities to it. This isn't your typical safety that can just kind of do what you got to do kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like I said, these contracts, everybody, like, I'm sure you're going to go ahead and have offensive linemen have the same deal. You got to come into the film room. You're mandated. You got to do this. You got to do that. But listen, this contract's not the one thing you get paid this amount, sign here. No, there's pages of this crap that you have to go through and all this legal documentation. That's why you need an agent. And that's why you need a lawyer to go ahead and make sure that you're signing right. Let me get some input from Coach Mike, Coach Bennett.
Hey, I'm saying this. I think when he said the statement, that was the dumbest thing to do. Personally, you don't need to make that statement that you don't watch film. Now, if you look at his career, high school, it was, if this guy ain't open, go be an athlete. In college, the offense he ran, hey, throw the grass. God, there's going to be a whole lot of grass where I want you to throw to. If not, be an athlete. He's still in the mindset of, I can be an athlete. When he understands in the next 2 years that, hey, man, your athleticism ain't as fast as it used to be, you better get in that film and understand, when we see this, they do this a lot. When they do this a lot. You got to understand that film don't never lie. You watch a lot of film and pick up on small tendencies. You got to.
So would I be correct in saying Kyler goes into the huddle, calls a play, but he's not really running the play? It's like, if it works, it works. But if not, I'm just going to go and improvise.
I think having, and Coach Mike, I don't know if I'm speaking for you on this, but I think there's always 2 plans. Unless you're Tom Brady, then you have 6 different plans. But I think the biggest thing is you always have plan B there, but plan B is not your focus. I think with Kyler, plan B is the focus of, I'm probably going to run out. But if he's open, maybe I'll hit him. And that's the problem, is hitting him should be your focus. And if I have to roll out, I'll roll out. But as soon, like you said, as soon as you break that huddle, I'm about to run this shit. Like, I love Lamar Jackson, but I know 90% of that time that man knows, and a big part of that is who he has around him. He doesn't have a D-Hop, so I understand it. But it's like you understand, you know, I'm gonna have to do what I have to do. Kyler's in a position to where, no, bro, you have D-Hop. You have all these other weapons. You have these guys at your disposal. If one guy's not open, look for a second read. Instead of looking for that second read, you take off and then you get chopped by Bobby Wagner. And it's like, come on, bro. Like, this isn't like Coach Mike said, this isn't high school anymore, man. You do that, you're going to get hurt. You do that more than 3 times a game. You can get away with it here and there. And that's why I love Lamar Jackson's, because Lamar Jackson understands when to move and when not, but Kyler will force it. And that's the biggest problem with me. And that's why I think I kind of understand where, you know, you're really looking at it. Like you said, and this is where I'll leave it for before Victor goes. I think having that conversation, and Coach Mike said it perfectly, this is your rookie and you are an athlete first. And I think the biggest problem with having an athlete first in any sport is they're going to rely on their athleticism. But once you're not a rookie anymore on that rookie contract, there's a huge price tag next to your name. I need you to be able to understand how serious this is and what can happen, not only in the game, but to your body if you don't take care of it. Because this price tag ain't going to change. It's going to remain a constant forever. This guaranteed money is guaranteed money. So we want the best Kyler we can.
Yeah, John makes a comment, and I agree with it. The statement that Murray made is going to come back and haunt him, because I'm sorry, if you have any type of stability in your brain, you're not saying that. You're not coming out saying, I don't watch film. What the hell are you talking about? Film is for wimps. Come on. So anyway, last statement there, Coach Mike, Coach Vic, you guys got the floor.
No, I mean, Mike said it the best. He's not really a quarterback, guys. I mean, that's an athlete. That's an athlete playing quarterback.
Sir, yeah. Do not say I said that. I did not. That's not.
Whichever.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
But that's what I'm saying. But the reality of it is, you have to realize, and the shell life of an athlete playing quarterback, they don't last long. You have to be able to throw the football. You have to be able to make the right decisions. And I said it from the beginning about Arizona. Arizona always looks good at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
After Thanksgiving, when injuries start kicking in and everything else. And then again, if you look at what he had at receivers, a lot of those times it was jump balls. So
I think that's why they brought D-Hop in the first place.
But if you look at D-Hop, when D-Hop was there, you look at all these, it was okay, D-Hop, I'm just gonna throw it to you no matter what.
Yeah, 100%.
Shoot. So that's the thing about it. That's why you have a D-Hop. That's why you put you got Hollywood out there. Hollywood run fast. Because if you're gonna double team D-Hop, now I'm gonna hit you. I just don't see you don't make the statement because as a quarterback, and we're talking about the elite now. I think that's where people realize he's a good quarterback. He made it to the playoffs. He did all these things. Now it's at the point is, okay, are you trying to put yourself in the great category? Are you trying to put yourself in that phenomenal category? Are you trying to be remembered? And if you don't watch film, you don't do that, and you're just living off your athletic ability, you're good for a first round exit every year if you make it. And that's if you've seen, that's what Arizona's good for.
Yep. Coach Mike, any last words?
You got to watch film. I don't care what position, but you got to watch film.
Amen.
With split coverage and all kind of disguise coverage back there, that athleticism gonna die down because you seen for a minute, hell, with Mike Vick, it wasn't no 60, 70-yard runs no more like that for a long time. And when he came to the Eagles, it's like, hey, I'm about to let this ball go. And his whole dynamics changed. You still got to worry about me running, but you better worry about this ball getting there.
Right.
With precision and time.
All right, folks. So got a couple of those on. Anything you guys want to go ahead and comment about, you feel free to go ahead. Social media, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, go ahead and comment, or you can give us a call at 813-699-5353. We can go ahead and take your calls. A couple of the things that are going on. Well, first off, let me go ahead and get really quickly. This is actually for Coach Vic. Ryan Jensen injured as part of the center from the Tampa Bay Bucks. Does this spell trouble for Brady? Does Brady have only 2 seconds instead of 3 to throw the ball?
Man, it's a center, but he's nasty. God, that out of all the linemen, I love him. If you watch him, he finished plays. On the run game, he's coming through there blowing stuff up. He is a nasty player. He's that cornerstone. He's Brady's second eyes. And
they're actually talking about replacing him with somebody that's internal. You got Robert Hainsley. And
I forgot. I can't think of we drafted a kid 2 years ago. He pretty much plays every position on the field.
Worth.
I can't think his name right now.
Todd Bowles says between Hainsley and Leverett.
Yeah, I think it's Leverett. Leverett's the one that plays. He plays every position. I mean, within doubt, there's still linemen that's in the free agent. It's crazy.
No. It was Hainsley.
Hainsley's the one that plays.
He was the 3rd round pick last year.
Yes. So, but there's still guys in the free agent. We can see what we can do. One thing about it is, I mean, it was left guard more so than anything that we was worried about, but now the center. So
right.
that hurts.
Let me ask you this, Coach. If Leonard Fournette puts on a couple more pounds, at what point are you looking at him in that offensive line, sir?
Yeah, that's not a bad question there.
I've seen a couple. I'm just saying, I've seen a couple pictures, sir. He's looking like he could eat at that table. He's looking like he could eat at that table.
I think he can eat the whole table. Just saying.
I'm not worried about Leonard Fournette. He'll be fine.
Nah, I know he is. He'll be fine. I think
he'll be fine. September 11th. What is that? A month and a half.
Yeah.
A month and a half. And he's in. Look, so we're not worried about that.
I was just messing with you, man.
My God, keto diet. Calling Leonard Fournette's name. All right, so let's talk about training camp. Training camp, a couple of things we take away, even though everybody's back together. Let's go ahead and talk. Of course, the Dolphins feeling good, but this is after Tua was seen underthrowing Tyreek Hill during offseason activities. Well, of course, he hit that 65-yard bomb, and everybody's like, yeah, he can throw the deep ball. So that blew up social media. There was another thing, too. Apparently, Matt Rule thinks it's not going to be a sure thing in regards to Mayfield versus Darnold. Baker Mayfield still has the edge, apparently, according to Rule, but you want to think many folks who believe in Sam Darnold may fuel a little bit of fire. What do you guys think there, Baker or Darnold being the better fit? I think we've talked about this before. But needs a running game. Baker needs accuracy. So I don't see anybody willing to go first. So I'm going to go with Coach Mike. Coach Mike, you've always been taking the rear on all these conversations. I'm going to start with you.
Hey, I'm Darnold all the way. Baker's just, I don't care what nobody says. He's not proven in my book. he had in Cleveland, he had all the weapons and he just couldn't produce. I'm not a Baker fan, never have, probably never will be. I think he's a front runner when everything's going great. He's okay. When it ain't, he can't be found.
Now, is there any truth to the rumor that when they play Cleveland in week 1, that Cleveland will just hand him the check that they owe him on the 50-yard line when they come out there? It's just like, here's the money that we're paying you this year. Have a nice day.
I would. I would want to be done with Baker. I think he's just a media show. They took a chance with him. They surrounded him with plenty of weapons, and he just couldn't produce.
Tim Tebow's a media show. Baker is just a tragedy. Coach Vic, what you got?
Man, I don't care who starts the season because you know what? Because at the end of the day, whoever sucks, they're gonna switch the quarterback. Like Matt Rule, I said it from the beginning. He's trying to save his job. So you have these two quarterbacks, and if Baker sucks, he's gonna put Darnold in. If Darnold's not looking too good, he's gonna put Baker in, and that's all that's gonna happen.
Why don't you just go full college and just say, okay, you start the first series, you start the second series. Why don't you just do that? Keep them guessing.
Nah, he's not gonna.
No, Mike. I know you had your hand up and everything. I was dogging you, but go ahead.
Well, sir, from personal experience, sir, I think.
I don't understand what the hell that means, but okay.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, sir, or you have 3 quarterbacks, or even 4 quarterbacks, you have 0 quarterbacks.
Yeah, 0.
Coach Victor told me that all year last year when I had Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, and even for a short period of time, Mike Hughes. I think it comes down to that conversation of, in all seriousness, though, if you do have 2 quarterbacks, unless you're in high school, which I feel like, to Coach's point too, if you're in high school, it's a different conversation because kids are going to be there and you can't really prevent that. In college, it's kind of a very similar situation where you're trying to figure out who you want to start. There might be a couple other talented guys there, but it's not common. You know, guys are going to transfer once they realize they got what they got. In the NFL, if you're looking at both of these guys potentially being the same amount of reps, they both suck.
So let me actually let me segue off what you just said, which is what we had already said, in later last year. Pittsburgh, 3 quarterbacks. You got Rudolph, Pickett, and Trubisky. Now, according to what people are being reported at Steelers camp, Mason Rudolph is putting on quite a show.
No, that's not what I heard.
That's not what I heard either, sir.
I heard Trubisky, Money Mitch.
Money Mitch.
I heard Trubisky got booed out of training camp.
You're lying, sir.
Hey, that's fine. He can get booed by whoever, but when the head coach calls you Money Mitch, you.
Hey, listen, Mitch is that dude. But with that being said, I do think, though, it's a different situation because the conversation is, we need somebody better than Rudolph because Rudolph doesn't do anything except get in the face with helmets because he's a magnet. But I do think bringing in Mitch is kind of that, okay, bring in competition, bring in a mentor type guy who understands what it's like to be a top round pick, kind of not live up to that. Worked with Josh Allen, McDermott, Brian Dable, and really kind of have that conversation. I had a Belichick moment, Charles. I'm sorry. But I do think then when you look at that, Pickett's is your guy of the future. Is Matt Corral? No, I don't think so. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. And I think one of the biggest issues with that is that's why you bring in 3 guys. We look at that last year when Cam Newton screamed that he was back for 2.5 seconds. Is it Cam Newton and Sam Darnold show? You have 2 quarterbacks now. Both of them weren't good. And it's the same conversation now where it's like Baker, to Coach Mike's point, dude, come on. You're here in the highs, but you're gone during the lows. Like I can't work with that. I can't work with that, especially in a game. They're down 7-0 and Baker's over here throwing a fit. I can't work with that whatsoever. And I think that's one of the biggest things to me right now is you don't have a veteran. You don't have a guy. You have a bunch of journeymen is where I'll leave it. And I think you're still trying to figure out who your franchise quarterback is. And I don't think it's any of them.
Coach Mike, Kenny Pickett was their pick this year's draft. Just showing if Rudolph and Money Mitch go ahead and go down the train, Does Kenny Pickett is that the quarterback of the future? Do you think Pittsburgh has seen anything out of him, or is it too soon right now?
He probably won't play it down unless they're blowing somebody out this year. Coach is a great coach. He gonna realize he gonna sit him down, let him learn. I think Mitch will take the starting spot, and they always have a defense in Pittsburgh, and they have a good running game. So I think Pickett is definitely the future. And with Harris back there running the ball and good receiving core, good defense, fundamentally sound, Trubisky just gotta don't lose the game.
Yeah. Coach number 2, what do you say?
And some in Chicago that he can carry a team and throw that ball. So
I don't know about that.
You watch your mouth, you watch your tone, Charles.
Coach, go ahead.
Nah, I think Mike Tomlin, like, he's gonna make the right decision because at the end of the day, he's trying to win games. He's trying to put everybody in the right position. Again, defense is gonna hold its own. They're gonna do their thing. The offensive line got a little better. The receiving core is, I don't care what nobody say, Pittsburgh is like the best team in picking up drafting receivers. They do a great job at that. So they're gonna be fine, man. I had them going to the playoffs this year, and I know it was a lot of knocks on that, but they'll be fine. What people have to realize, man, Trubisky was in, no disrespect to Chicago, he was in Chicago with a new coach, Mike Nagy, who's never really trained a new quarterback. So he didn't learn anything. At least going and sitting and watching, he kind of understand. He got a lot of mental reps in Buffalo. So when you get those mental reps, you start seeing things like, oh, okay, I can do this. Oh, you start watching and you learn how to prepare. You're learning how to be a quarterback because he wasn't taught that in Chicago. So now that he's in Pittsburgh, he has an understanding of how to do things, and he has toys to play with.
I think you also have a competent head coach who understands how to actually run plays. But in a serious note, I do think when you look at what Mitch has been able to do throughout Chicago's tenure, your first year, whatever, your rookie year is your rookie year. But your second year, you go 12-4 and you make a playoff appearance. He shined in that playoff appearance. It got screwed over because of a double doink, but we don't speak about that. Anyways, he goes 8-8 the following year, 8-8 again. The big thing I'm hearing, Charles, and it depends how you define a winner. And I always heard that from Coach Victor. But for Tomlin right now, it's Mason Rudolph is going to win you 3 to 4 games. And Mitchell Trubisky can kind of calm that sea on a shitty team, calm that sea to be a 8-win team. He's going to be able to win you a couple games, not because of him, but because of what you're able to do. And I think you being able to run the ball with Najee is going to be huge. Najee is going to be huge. And I think Trubisky understands that. Whereas Mason, I don't think Mason knows what's going on 90% of the time. He's there. I truly don't.
Let me ask you, Mike, we're going to close out this segment real quick. Does Pittsburgh keep 3 quarterbacks? And if so, who's the backup? Who's number 2?
I think Pickett's is number 2. I think you're done with Mason, bro.
So the 2 quarterbacks, and you're going to keep a rookie as the backup.
I would.
Okay.
Nick Foles didn't play at all for Fields.
Do you guys agree, coaches?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 quarterbacks. So if we see Mason Rudolph make the team, are we surprised or
he can make the team?
No, you're gonna have you always keep 3 quarterbacks, but I don't think he's gonna be on.
You gonna hold that clip?
He won't be on the active roster. Yeah,
you gonna hold that clip,
you're talking about practice squad.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm talking about is actually making the roster, the 53.
Yeah, it's 53 dudes. He gonna make it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that shuts that down. Let's go on to, let's see here. What else has been going on in training camp? So the Browns go ahead and they sign Josh Rosen. We know Jacoby Brissett is his team. Depending on what Deshaun Watson's going on, there's still no decision on Deshaun Watson. I don't understand what's going on. He is practicing with the team, so he's going on like business as usual. Right. But right now, until they find out what's going on, Deshaun's the leader. He's taken some snaps, but Brissett's also taken a fair amount of first team snaps as well. Do we have any idea or any leaks to know what Deshaun is looking at? Because right now we've heard 6 games, a year, more than a year, no suspension. I've heard everything under the book. Do we have any clarity or anything that what you guys heard on the dirt sheets?
I've been
Write it down in pen. I'm calling it. Deshaun Watson starts game 1.
really.
Wow. Mike, go ahead.
I say, well, this is from what I heard. I say 2 to 8. That's what I've been hearing is 2 to 8 games.
That's kind of a wide thing. Like, hey, listen.
No, but I'm hearing it's a lot more like 2 to 4. Like it's like I've heard 8 is the minimum. The first half of the season. Sir, you're muted.
Yeah, you muted. I think
I don't know. I've heard it's like
muted.
first half of the season business. I don't think the year thing is really going in anymore.
You said 8 is the minimum, or are you saying 8 is the maximum?
8's the max. I'm sorry,
okay,
but
okay.
I've heard 8 is the max on a lot of it. So I don't know. I haven't heard anybody really talking about a year suspension anymore.
Go ahead, Coach.
It's hard, man, because if it was Goodall, he would have been suspended for a year. None instant vote. Now that they have this new rule, they have this new the judge come in, ex-judge come in, and she's taking care of everything. So she's gonna do her due diligence. She's gonna look at everything. She's gonna make sure everything is right because she's a judge. She's an ex. She used to be a lawyer at one point in time, so she's gonna make sure everything's right before she makes the decision. She's not gonna rush it and go off of what the people say. Or what people say on ESPN, on radio talks and all this, blah, 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 or the TikToks. So she's going to take her time. She's going to look at everything, and she's going to make a decision. So, but the question is this. What did he do wrong? Because he was not guilty. Like, you can say, Mike, you can look like that all you want. He was not. He's not going to jail. They done pretty much, it was a civil suit now. He done paid off 23 of them or 22 of them. There's only 3 left. So it's like he hasn't done anything.
Hey, listen, McMahon had to pay only 3 and he's ousted as CEO.
Coach, I'm gonna leave it like this because it's a very delicate situation. And I don't like hurting people's feelings in the comments.
Oh yeah, he does.
I think
fool you.
For me personally, growing up where I grew up, I know a lot of dudes who didn't do nothing, but they did it. And it's that conversation of like, I know dudes who will brag about certain things that have happened throughout this city and certain horrible crimes. And it's definitely that conversation of ain't nobody see anything. It didn't happen, but
Mike,
it happened, bro.
Mike,
it happened.
You had 26 people say he's done something. Listen, did they say that he grabbed them?
That's a lot of sex, by the way. 26.
Mike, did he say? Mike, did he say they grabbed him?
I didn't even really pay attention to the entire thing.
That's what I'm saying. If you didn't hear nothing about he grabbed.
Mike, we're gonna go ahead and make you sign. You need to do so much film study on all these things.
I'm not watching that film study. But with that being said, I think, Coach, my biggest thing is the attachment against it. And I think that's exactly why we're bringing in an ex-judge and not a real judge, is because he was innocent of the situation. But to have your name,
Judge Judy, honestly,
right, to have your name next to it, though, I think is that conversation of where the NFL still has to do something by their standards, just because of you being attached to that.
Yes, and that's fine. If it was Goodall, we all know right now it would have been a year.
Yeah, but that's where I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I would say maybe at most half the season, because again, you didn't do it.
So now you bring a judge in that used to be a judge. She works for the NFL now for these cases. She's gonna look at everything. She's gonna pay attention to everything that was said. He came down and I think he had Deshaun talk to her. So now you got all your evidence, and you're gonna make a decision the right way. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, like, we can sit here and say, well, I think he did, I think this and this and that. What did he? No one knows exactly what he did wrong.
I ain't say nothing.
Because my thing is this: no one said he grabbed him. No one said he forced it. He made them feel uncomfortable. So think about it. You went through court already, 26 people, and you didn't get not one charge. But now you're in civil suit. That's all I'm saying. I just don't see. This is one of those things.
I don't think it has to do with criminal or civil or anything like that. Is if your name is brought up in indecency, the NFL is going to take action, because it's more than just guilty or not guilty. It's your name has been thrown into the mud, and the NFL is going to cover their ass.
And how are you going to punish somebody for somebody making a statement?
Well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, it's
But-
your
but
name is being thrown through the mud by 20
Right.
And
plus
that's
people.
and that's
But
fine.
you got to think, you got some women who probably didn't have nothing to do with it. And I think what's
I
saving,
agree, but 26.
But
I
Charles,
bet there's probably a handful, maybe 5, 6, maybe even 10 of them. Probably not, but 26. He must have.
I bet I can walk up the street, Charles. I could walk down the street and say, "Hey, I'll give you $10,000 if you say Deshaun Watson did this on TV." And all I gotta do is say that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also he made people feel uncomfortable. I can walk into Walmart,
but if we're gonna
make people feel uncomfortable.
But if we say this right here and just be serious, if we're gonna go off what's happened in the past, he's gonna get to 6 to 8.
Yeah.
Ben got charged with rape. Now he got accused with rape, and he got 6 games. So you're gonna please put him in the 6-game range, if anything.
Right.
And I think anything above maybe 8 is pointless.
It's an extent. Yeah. That's
because again,
we suspending folks on accusations now.
Yes.
Like sending somebody to jail because somebody lied and said rape.
I think here's the problem though, Mike, and this is my personal problem with it, is where there does need to be a suspension, because I do agree with you. Let's say 25 of them are bullshit, but he paid off a few of them. And that is, to me personally, that is not you clearing your name. That is not you clearing your innocence.
I think that's an admission of guilt. You're paying people
Here's
off.
the thing. Here's the thing about that though. And I'll say this to Deshaun's point. Man, I just want this to go away and I just want to play football. That is where I could see it from Deshaun's point, to where it's like, yo, I don't care if you think I'm innocent or not. I know my truth. I'll pay you this to make this go away because I just want to play week 1. I get it. But from the NFL's perspective, you have to take it as you paid him off. So I can't sit here.
But it's not that you paid him off. It's a civil suit. So you're arguing for money. So it's one of those things like, hey, you have a choice. Do you want to go through court and just keep going? Because his bank is bigger than your bank.
Right.
So you already proved. But his bank is still bigger.
I'm just saying his bank is getting lighter. It may not be getting lighter at that much,
but
no.
Charles, he made $42 million last year. And
it's not Ben Simmons light. It's pretty nice.
He made $42 million last year. But
go ahead.
But the thing is, what you have to realize when you say civil, like it's just you're trying to win money,
right?
So all it is like, hey, we can sit. We don't have to go in front of a judge to see how much you want.
All right, let's get Coach Mike on it. He wanted to chime in.
I think if he has the correct lawyer when they talk about it, the one thing that's I think saving him is everybody that came under there was under the contract of the Houston Texans, so that includes them. So I'm not saying that they didn't help pay them off to keep their name out of it. Secondly, if their lawyer is anything good and they're supposed to be and scroll back through other incidents, they're going to look at the Roethlisberger payoff. How many game suspensions did he get?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. If you go by history, some of these suspensions are just because, well, hey, your name was brought up and this is what happened. And, you were innocent and, you didn't have to pay that many people off, but, your name's still dragged through the mud. You're a public figure. You're suspended.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of goes them out. So him not getting a suspension, well, first off, him getting a suspension, but now it's dragging on. This is going into training camp. This is effing up with the Cleveland Browns mindset. Are we getting a suspension? Are we not getting a suspension? What the hell's going on? Who are we putting on the field week 1? That's what they're going with right now. They have to get prepared for all this. They have to go through 3 preseason games, not 4, 3. And they have to go ahead and get this guy ready for their offense, their offensive system. Are we suspending him? Are we putting in Brissett? What's the hell's going on? So
then a lot gonna tell on how many plays he get in preseason. That's gonna tell a lot.
Well, and there we go. So the first game for the Browns is at Jacksonville, Friday, August 12th. They're gonna go play Jacksonville 7 p.m. We'll see.
Can he play in the preseason game?
Yes.
He hasn't been suspended.
Nothing's like he's
so he is your week 1 starter as of right now.
As of right now,
he's as of right now.
That's my problem though. Is like you're not doing a due diligence to Deshaun as the league commissioner, not the judge. It's not her fault because she gets involved when she gets involved. But I think to the organization, or to Deshaun by waiting this out. If the league starts September 11th and we have to find out September 9th that Brissett's your starter, if I'm the head coach or even the owner of that team, I'm pissed.
I would be filing so many. Listen, NFLPA better get involved, because it's like, dude, so what? You can just go ahead and suspend anybody for any reason, anytime?
Because I remember, but I do remember Big Ben, when that situation happened, Ben, I'm sure you remember, it was off rip. Like, that was very quick. It was like, okay, here's what happened. Boom, it's done. Like that, a year, or not a year, 6 games, whatever. But now it's kind of like, okay, well, all the evidence is here. Everything's here. We've done the civil case. We've done all of this. But now we're going to bring in our judge. And it's like, bro, just say what you got to say and let's move on. Like, you're dragging this out.
It's not that you drag, but she's, again.
This is not a murder case that a jury has to get involved in. Just it should be open and shut. Present your evidence. Present that. Goodbye.
But I think that's the issue, that this is a first time we're ever doing this. So everything, she's trying to set the precedence, not for now, but for later on.
Right.
Because, and you're trying to get an understanding. So it's like she's pretty much, if you look at it, they're creating their own guidelines and rules. The what else?
I think it's,
that's why when you sit, that's why when we sit here and say it, you hear, oh, I think he might not have to do it. He might not be suspended. Some people say 4 games. Some people say 6 games. Some people say 8 games. Some people say the whole season.
Yeah,
because it's no one really knows what's the guidelines of a situation like that.
This has been run in such a huge cluster F. It's not even funny. And if that's the way it's going to go, the NFL is going to be looked at as a joke for handling things like this. It really is. So, all right. Last thing, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it up really quickly, because I don't think this is really much of a discussion, but I'm just doing it for John. Cowboys coming into Ezekiel Elliott, trying to go ahead and see if he's going to go ahead and be the future running back for the Cowboys. Yeah. Zeke, accordingly, Jerry Jones says Zeke's got to be our future, and he is our future. We can feature him in a lot of different ways. We all recognize what he does in the passing game because of his protection ability. Don't ever underestimate the ability of Zeke, blah, blah, blah. The owner is sounding like a coach. Where the hell is the coach in all this? You know,
he had no say so.
Yeah, right. He is now Zeke. What, his rookie year, he was like he was a baller.
Right.
He has not been that way since.
That's a running back, though. I think and I'll leave it very brief. I think from an owner's perspective, the guy who's signing the checks, oh, hell yeah, Zeke better be the focal point of this offense. But from a winning perspective, which they don't do often, John, but when they do, it is not because of Zeke. I think you have to look at it from that understanding of Pollard is amazing in that short stint that he had. Now, if he can repertoire that or even build upon that, I think your conversation, if you're Mike McCarthy, who also isn't an intelligent individual, the issue with that is Pollard is far more useful. And you have CD, you have Dak, you have a bunch of guys who can really, I've heard great things about Michael Gallup being ready by week 1. I think there's a lot of conversations right now to where on the poll of weapons, Zeke is probably in that 4 to 5 range. Now, if you're the owner of the team and you look at who's getting paid the most outside of your offensive line and Dak Prescott, when you're looking at all the weapons, you're like, yo, Zeke better be the X factor of this team. He better be the Mike. He better be everything that's up and down. It better have Zeke's name attached to it. I don't care if you're throwing CD the ball. I want you to scream Zeke's name when you do it. Like, that's how it is. But the reality is that's not how he's playing. No. And you have to be able to run it with Pollard. I think Zeke is going to be a part of this offense. I think he's going to have a bounce back year, but not the bounce back year that once was feed Zeke. I think that's done. And the big part of that is a running back's tenured in the NFL is typically, let's be real, unless you're an anomaly like Kamara or Henry, or I would say McCaffrey, but he gives you about 3 games a year. So, I mean, I don't even know if he's in that conversation. But the real conversation is a running back lasts about 3 to 5 years, and Zeke's been here about 5 to 6. So I think that's that conversation of next man up. You go with the younger guy who's going to help you win games. I don't care how much he's getting paid. That's on Jerry.
Yeah. All right, Coach Mike, Zeke, is this his make or break year? Do we go ahead and expect big things, or do you think he's on his way out?
Being unbiased, you got to question yourself. What is your expectations for him? You saying 1,300 yards?
Yeah. Oh well, we'll just say he needs to
100
be
yards receiving.
So we'll say he averages. If you average 75 to 100 yards a game, you're in good state.
Right.
He's going to get that.
Okay, so he is going to get it. He's going to have a bounce back year. This is what he's going to have. All right.
He's going to get that.
Coach Vic, go ahead and close it up, man.
He ain't got no choice to have a bounce back year. Either you ball out or you're gonna lose your money. As simple as that, man. It's just that simple because you can get cut and it doesn't tax the Cowboys. So this is either you ball out or you don't get paid.
All right. There you go, John. You got to go and keep your eye on your Cowboys. I'm already assuming that Zeke's probably going to get like 300 yards against the Eagles, right there, John.
You got like the weakest schedule.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah. Oh, that was one of the comments too that was made earlier. I don't think he was. Anthony was like saying if you have a weak schedule, you should make the playoffs. Cowboys do what you do last year: beat weak teams and lose against good teams.
Do what you got to do.
That's kind of how the Patriots were. They barely squeaked into the playoffs, got their asses kicked in the first round, but that's what they.
Hey, by who? By who?
But it wasn't from Chicago.
Hey, that ain't my problem. It was by that man, Josh Allen. Coach.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead and start the closeout segment here. Go ahead. Any final words?
Hey, N'Keal Harry sucks, and shout out Randy Jowers, and that's all I have to say today.
Coach Mike, go ahead with your final words for today.
You know what it is, Super Bowl champs. Jalen proved me wrong.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, Coach Vic, go ahead. Yours, please. Words of wisdom, please.
No, have zero. Hey, check out my boy Charles, his shows. With Monday, Wednesday, Friday, huh?
Yeah. Oh,
I
appreciate the plug. Thanks, man.
Hey, look, yeah, I watch it. Check out Mike on the mic and my boy Randy off the bench. I don't know what time they perform or they come on. Mike he knows a better job than me. Hey, watch it, man. Wednesday. It's good.
We're gonna have you sign a contract of knowing what you promote. Yeah, my show, the Charles Richardson Show, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Next Monday, it will be 8 to 10 Eastern going forward. So making an internal move for co-hosting abilities. But anyway, enough about my BS. Listen, Thursday, it's the Hall of Fame game. Tune in. Real football is back. Real, not the USFL or the XFL, which, by the way, I'm kind of pumped about. Not arena football. No. Real 100-yard football by real professionals in a high school stadium. What could be better than that?
Who's playing in that game, Charles?
I have no idea, but it's still.
I think it's the Raiders in Jacksonville.
I would relax because half of those teams on Jacksonville are high schools. But
Jacksonville and Raiders. Yep.
It's gonna be a great day for Devontae Adams. Is all.
Listen. If he plays that much, I think it's
probably not.
It's gonna be like one series, if that.
One or two series, I think.
So anyway, we're out again. ASAP Network. Go ahead, ASAP TV Network, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Type in tdc.asap, and we're there. Like us, follow us, share us, love us. We're out. See you next week.
We'll look at you.
All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.